Hello friends and welcome back to Generation Pixel, and if it's the first time that you've popped along to the channel, well, you've picked an exceptional time to do so because this is going to be the first in a new series. Well, not just a series but a VR to Geordie Slasher Gaming, who he's put together this wonderful series called The Games That Made Me, and well, I had to jump on this. I know it sounds a bit like I'm stealing his work, but you know what? We're good mates, we've had a chat, and you know what? I think more of the community should take this on, so if you're out there and you want to make a video with this title, feel free to do so. Anyway, let's get to the meat and bones of the episode, because you see, today, well, I'm going to be talking about games that made me, and the first one, well, is going to be Sonic the Hedgehog. And why? Well, why not? And also, today, as of recording, it's his birthday, so if you want to see how Sonic the Hedgehog helped make me, then just wait until after the titles. So to fully explain how Sonic the Hedgehog managed to have such an impact on my gaming history, well, we need a little backstory, because as you all know, Sonic the Hedgehog was released in 1991, and at that time, well, I was no spring chicken. In fact, I was 18 years of age and had already a huge history in gaming, spanning back all the way to the 70s, where I first picked up a controller for a Pong clone. Where the impact actually came in was the switch from 8-bit gaming at home to the new 16-bit gaming at home. And not only 16-bit gaming, but blast processing.
And what if you don't have blast processing?
Now, as I said, I had been gaming for a long time because, well, that's what gamers do. So you see, before the Mega Drive itself anyway, we had 8-bit graphics on microcomputers over here in the UK, and to be frankly honest, as much as they served a purpose back in the early to mid 80s, by the time it got to about 1988, 1989, well, they were growing a bit thin on content. Now, don't get me wrong, the 8-bit microcomputers and of course the one or two examples of the NES and the Master System that I did manage to experience back in the late 80s, well, they were fine. But of course, as you get a little bit older, you start to veer away from video games. Well, I did anyway, because in 1990 I decided, well, enough was enough. I was 17 years of age and I had much better things to do. Well, of course, in 1991, that all changed dramatically. Now, the story behind how I first managed to experience Sonic the Hedgehog on a Mega Drive, well, it's not a common story, but I'm sure there's a few of you out there who have had this same experience. You see, the Mega Drive wasn't intended for me, no, it was for a younger brother's Christmas present. But of course, as Christmas was looming closer, it was probably October, my father asked me, do you want to go and try this Mega Drive just to make sure it works, so your brother doesn't get a broken toy at Christmas? Well, of course I said yes, and we sat down, plugged it into the old CRT, and the rest is history. Now, the first thing that's going to strike you with Sonic the Hedgehog is the music. It was fantastic. Now, if you've heard any examples of 8-bit micro music, yeah, some of those tunes are, well, they're nice and they're nostalgic, and some of them are, well, you could say they were exceptional, but compared to what was just about to come out of that CRT, they paled into insignificance. And then, on top of that, they hit you full force with the graphics. Never before outside of an arcade machine had I seen such crisp, clear graphics. It was almost like watching animation play out in front of you, like you were watching a Saturday morning cartoon. But this wasn't the case. This was a video game that looked and sounded so phenomenal, well, you had to pick my jaw up off the floor because it would have remained there for the rest of the evening. And next up was the gameplay. I had never in all my life experienced something quite so fast as Sonic the Hedgehog. And you know what, that's saying something, because that wasn't even top speed. Here in the PAL region at 50Hz, well, we were running Sonic slower. I can't even begin to imagine how people in NTSC regions with 60Hz TVs managed to play this game, because at the time, sitting down playing Sonic the Hedgehog for the first few times, it just felt like you had zero control whatsoever. But of course, that wasn't the case. It is such a well-crafted game. Now, people do complain about some of the later stages being slower. Well, you know what? I was kinda thankful for that, because after that first few levels where you've been travelling at light speed, it's nice just to slow back down, drop a gear or two, and play a bit more traditional platforming. And of course, enjoy the graphics, because up until then, most of it was just a blur, a blue blur. So then, what was I going to do after having what was almost a religious experience with Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive? Well, it totally put to bed any thoughts that I had no more interest in video games, and as soon as I possibly could, I was straight out and I was picking up my own Mega Drive and delving headfirst straight back into video games, where, to be frankly honest, I belong. And to be frankly honest, I don't think I was the only person in that particular situation at that time. Actually, I would put good money on the fact that there was many more, because you see, the old 8-bit machines, well, they had served their purpose, but we as a generation were hitting our late teens and other things were starting to attract our attention. Had it not have been for Sonic coming along and the Mega Drive coming along at that precise point in our gaming history, well, there may have been another mini video game crash, only this time in the UK. But the powers that be had decided otherwise, and we did get the Mega Drive and we did get Sonic the Hedgehog. The game that where I thought I was out, well, it dragged me back in. So there you have it, folks, the story as to why Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the games that made me a gamer anyway. So thank you very much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end of this episode, and if you have done so, please give me a little thumbs up, because it makes a huge difference to the channel. Also, if you've not already subscribed to the channel, well, the button is always there for you, and you don't want to miss out on great content like this and a host of other nonsense that I'll post on YouTube. And thank you again. Until next time, cheerio.